past couple weeks. And about evolution, creation, everything. And at first, I was pulling all these facts out. Why do I believe creation? Why am I not an evolutionist? I have this massive science background, and then it hit me. Why am I a creationist? What do I believe? Not what can I prove? And this first slide is actually going to set the stage and answer all the questions. So why am I a creationist? I married Angie, not Algie. And I thought really long and hard about this, and I'll probably get in trouble later. But they're both beautiful, okay? In different ways, okay? Humans are so complex, and the connection that we have, Rob was talking about being married for 23 years. We've almost been married for 10 years. Thanks, Rob, for setting the bar so high for me. And there is no way that my wife and I have this, this bond, this connection, that we fell in love from her coming from Algie. It just, I don't see it. I don't believe it. There's no possible way. She is so complex on many different levels.
Be careful.
Actually, next slide. I'll be hanging out after this for a while. The human body is so complex. It's the most complex machine in the world. Think about it. Look at the person sitting next to you. Look at your parents. Look at your kid. Hopefully we don't have kids. Brothers and sisters. Just look at them. They are so complex. Their eyes, their ears, their hands. Just, don't look like you see them every day, but actually examine them and look at them. They are so complex. As Rob said last week about simple cells, single cell organisms, they are not simple. They are far from simple. As Rob pointed out last week, the flagella, all 40 proteins have to operate at the same time or it doesn't work. You have mitochondria, you have RNA, you have DNA, you have passages, you have canals, you have all this complex things in a single, simple cell. They're not simple, okay? When you study the human body, okay, think of all those complex single-cell organisms. You have over 1 trillion of those in your body. That's a lot of cells. That's way too complex, way too elaborate just to have popped up out of a protozoa. That's like this. The human body has 10 systems. You have the endocrine system, digestive, just all these different systems. Okay? They all have to function properly because they depend on each other. If they don't function right, the body doesn't work. Okay? So every system is dependent on another system. Now, in evolution, they think, as a theory, these 10 systems all evolved, all mutated, all changed at the exact same time. Then at midnight, one night, poof, they're all perfect.
Oh, wow.
The probability of that happening, I'm going to go play the lottery, okay? Every little mutation, every cell, every protein, every lipid, everything, according to the evolutionists, all evolved at the exact same time, and they all fell in place perfectly. Rob showed us last week of the single cell. It doesn't happen. Human body doesn't happen. Everything has to be in line perfectly for it to happen. Looks like this. This is green algae. This is a simple green algae. It's actually quite pretty. I'm kind of a weird, I love molds, funguses, bacteria. This is really quite exciting. Simple algae is not simple, okay? Next slide, please. Algae accounts for 50% of the photosynthesis that happens in the environment. 50%. Now, what happens in photosynthesis? Anybody know? Raise your hand. Yes, no? Okay, well, what happens is it takes carbon dioxide that we exhale and it makes oxygen. So we can breathe. Algae also cleans out greenhouse gases. Okay? So all the nasty greenhouse gases that we produce, it now makes oxygen. It also makes other byproducts, sugars, and oils. You can get biofuels from algae, medicines from algae. Algae is actually very, very complex. So if you look at the human body, look at algae, look at a single-cell organism. The three of those are so entwined, so dependent on one another, that for it just to happen at midnight one night, everything is boom. You know, it's got them all over that for a little bit. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Fossils. What is a fossil?
Fossils are the preserved remains or traces of animals, plants, and other organisms from the remote past.
We have a reader. Nancy Reagan is right. Reading is fundamental. All right. Yes, that's what a fossil is. It's to preserve remains of plants or organisms or animals that are in the. You can see them. Now, without reading, there are things called transitional fossils. And this is where evolution kind of scratches its head. Okay? What a transitional fossil is. As Rob was talking about macroevolution and microevolution. A transitional fossil is a fossil that shows each stage of evolution. Okay? For example, there's a thing called isolated populations. Okay? I get over your head and say, hey, slow down. There's a belief that bats come from mice. What happened? Yeah, thank you. What happened was this population of mice go into a cave. They follow somebody who was lost. The cave gets sealed up, and over time, these mice evolve wings, hearing, radar, and become bats. Now, if that occurred, the question now is, where are the fossils of the mice that transitioned into bats? That's a transitional fossil. Okay, next slide. These are some fossils, just examples of fossils. You know, we have a bee, a trilobite, a fish. Yeah, these aren't the scary ones. But these are just basic fossils. This is what we'll see at a dig, or if you go to the Smithsonian, or boot shop, or whatever. Next slide. Okay, now this is where we're going to get the micro and macro. Okay. Can somebody? Well, okay. It's really hard to read here, guys. This is basically the class of horses. Okay. Now, this is where transitional fossils and evolution still a kind of gray. This is where I have a hard time following the evolution. Okay. You will get progression. Okay, that does exist. These are the same class of horses. Okay, slight modification to the bones, slight changes, adaptation. But what the transitional fossils should show is all these animals, humans, trilobites,